Hi guys, welcome back to another sewing tutorial with Choma Stitches. Today we're making a backless gown with back lacing. So guys, the fabric I have here for this backless gown with back lacing is it's a 1.5 yards, okay? But the 1.5 yard is not complete because towards this end, part of the half yard has been cut off. So we have a complete 1 yard here and a half yard that is not complete. And so for this is why I'm improvising. I'm going to be making the dress with the fabric we have. So we're going to be making use of what we have, so it will be enough, okay? So now if you look at the top part of the video, you will see the dress we're making. And so just follow through on how we achieve this. So I've already folded this fabric in half, as you can see. It's already folded in half, right? To complete the 1.5 yards in fold. Now I'm going to be folding it again. This is the second time. This is making it folded into 4 places. The edges are going to have all of this roughness as it is. Okay, for this, what I'm going to do is just get the waist measurement right, okay? So I'm moving this a little bit further because I need this place for the top. So to get this, you guys, the fabric is not enough, but we're going to make it work. So now we're going to have to get the waist measurement. For my waist measurement, because I'm the one wearing this, it's going to be like the skirt part. I'm going to be going around by 4.5 inches. Matches my waist 27, because I'm using waist 27 to sew this dress. So what I have here is 7.5. 7.5 times 4 is 30, and that's more than enough I need. That means I already have the 2 inches for the darts for the zipper inside. So this is more than I need. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. I'm going to cut this out the way it is, like so. Like I said, we're not throwing away any part of this dress. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out this waistline. I'm going to cut it out. And guys, I'm going to be making one of the long parts is going to be for the zip. I want these sides that are longer to be the back and the front. So let's just take out this place that is not equal. Okay. So now I'm going to be picking just one part of it. Okay, you're not cutting through everything. I'm picking just one part, so you have to be very careful when you're picking this, so you don't cut through everything. And I'm picking just one part of it to open. I'm going to cut it open to the end. Okay, now we have the skirts. We have the skirts that we need, guys. So here, and because it's a 360 cut, it's going to be flowy and it will look over good, to be cute and short, you know, for what we want. Okay, this is for the front. The skirt part, we're done cutting out this part. Today we are hardly using pattern drafting. So this is fabric that is left. Now for me to be able to manage this fabric to get exactly what I want, I will have to draft it. So now I'm going to be drafting the front. The back is going to be bare because it's strapless, and the back is open with back lacing. So for that, we need to manage this fabric to be enough. And this skirt will be needing a small band that will be holding the skirt part and the top part together. So we'll be needing a band. So I think I should go ahead and cut out the band so that we'll know how to manage whatever fabric is left. This is like crazy. Okay, so the waist we are working with is let's say waist 30, because we need 2 inches for zip allowance. So let's go ahead and take it, move it to 15. Get this 15. This is 17. It's too much, so I can work with 15.5. 15.5 will be okay. that will give me 31. So when I take out 1.5 inch, 2 inches for the zip. Okay, now I'm going to be measuring it in. Now how do we want this band? Now usually if you have to work with a dress that has a band, and for the kind of dress we're making that we'll be needing proper concealing, we'll be needing this dress, the band to be, so I can fold it, fold the band, so that the front part, you have a front piece for the band and the back piece for the band, so that the front piece is going to be covering the rough edges and the back piece will be concealing all of the rough edges at the back. So we'll see that as we progress, as we're sewing it. So for that, I'll be needing the band to be at least 2 inches. So I'm going to get 2 inches or 1.8 inches for the band. So I need like 4.5 for the 4.5. So when you cut it in half, you get, well, okay, let me work with 5 inches. I'm trying to manage the fabric we have. The fabric we have is not much, and I want to do a lot with it. So okay, let's see what we can do with this. 5 inches. Okay, let's go ahead and join this, bring this together. This band, it's supposed to be cut in half because we need 2 pieces of it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it open. Okay, this is it. We have this piece, so we can put this together, put this out here. Now this is what is left. The strap will be long enough. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these 2 inches and mark 1 inch, so that so that I can cut it. And the strap we're making that we're going to use to lace the back, I will have to cut this out. As you're already guessing, this dress will be worn without bra. You're already guessing that you're correct. And be joined. It will be joined. I'm going to sew it together. As you see, I'm going to sew this together like so. And this skirt is going to be having a zip at the back, obviously. And this is it. Okay, we have this part. Now this is what we have left. Let's go ahead and draft the upper bodice. Basically, the measurement you need for this dress is your upper bodice measurement and your waist measurement. Okay. All right. So the upper bodice half length I need, the shoulder to the length I need it to be for the half length is 17. But I'm going to be measuring 17.5 because I want the half inch will be the joining allowance for the upper bodice and the down parts. So we're going to go ahead and mark 17.5 here, and we are only drafting the front bodice, only the front bodice. Then we can alter it to fit exactly what we want. Okay, now let's input all the horizontal measurements. This is shoulder to the top of the bust 7, shoulder to the bust is 10, shoulder to the umbrella bust is 13.5. So let's just transfer all of these measurements, then we can start alteration. Mark. The TB is top of the bust, B is bust, and UB is under bust. UB, B, and TB. Okay, now the nipple to nipple measurement for me is I'm going to be working with 8. So 8 divided by 2 will be 4. So I'm marking down the 4 inches. This is supposed to be our dot line. Note this. I'm transferring this down here. So my shoulder measurement is 7.5. I'm going to put in my 7.5 shoulder measurement. 7.5. Now for you to get your armhole, the measurement for your armhole, I measure my bust area 35 divided by 6 plus 1.5, which is 7.33. And this 7.3, you're going to take it after you removed your 1 inch for slanting. So I'm removing 1 inch for slanting, and then I'll come down here and measure the 7.3. But for the slanting for the front side, it's 1.5. So I'm going to mark it. So when you are taking this, when you are doing the front part, please don't start measuring your 7.3 from the 1.5. Start from 1 inch. In other words, if you want to measure it from the 7.5, from the 1.5, you have to have minus half an inch from the armhole. Okay. Okay. So let's measure that. Let's take note of that. Okay. So my armhole now from the shoulder line, including the slanting allowance. The slanting SX is going to be 8.3. So I'm going to mark this. This is my armhole line. Alright. In other words, I can now extend this line to meet the armhole line. Okay. It's time to create an armhole curve. I'm going to measure 3 inches up from the armhole line. You come in by, it depends on you though. You can use half inch or 0.75. I'm using 0.75 here. You come in by 0.75. You mark it to the slanting, and then you use your armhole roll to curve it to the armhole line, just like this. Okay, now that is ready. Now we're going to go ahead and do the darts. So for the darts, I'm going to be using 1.5. I'm going to be using 1.5 for the waist and the underbone, and for the waistline. This is this waistline. So that will be 0.75 on both sides. And then for the underbust, I'm going to be using 0.75 for the inner part, and then 1.1, 1.2 or 3 for the other part, for the curviness. Okay, then from the bust point, we're going to come down by 1 inch and go up again by 1 inch for all the curviness, so that there will be no pointed line. So I'm going to go ahead and use my armhole rule to curve this, like so. You can also use this part to curve it. This gives it more fullness if you would like. Okay, then you go ahead and turn the rule and mark this part as well. Okay, now for the top part, what we are marking out is half inch on both sides. So this is the half inch on both sides. You do the same thing, use your rule to mark it. Half inch on both sides. This is where we are at. Then for from the underbust to the waistline, I'm going to be using a straight ruler to join them, to bring it together. Now for this side, for the side front, you will have to make sure you use your hand to correct this pointiness, so there will be a curve, not too curvy and not too pointed over in these places. Okay, now we're going to be introducing our measurements. So my waist measurement 28, 27. If you want it to be very tight, you can use your 27. So let's use 27 divided by 4 will be 6.75. I'm going to be adding the 1.5 inch for the darts plus 1.5 will give me 8.25. So let's bring down 8.25. So for the under bust is 27 as well. 27 divided by 4, which means we are getting the same 8 now, and then we add, for this one we add 2 inches because the dart allowance we removed from the under bust is 2 inches. So plus 2 inches to give us 8.75. So 8.75, I'm going to mark that. Okay, then for the bust area, bust 35, or I can use 34 for, because I'm not wearing it a bra. So 34 divided by 4, 8.5. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark the 8.5. Okay, now I can join them. Usually I use this to curve this part, and then use a straight line to join here and here. Now when if I were to be drafting the front and the back, how you contour your dresses, you take out the allowance between the front, the difference between the front and the back, and usually the allowance difference between the front of my back is 2 inches between my front and my back. So my front half length is usually 2 inches longer than the back half length, so I always use this 2 inches. So I'm going to mark this 2 inches on the sideline and bring it down to the bust. If you want to get a full comprehension of this, you can watch our previous videos on how to sew bustier dresses, and you'll see how we completely drafted both the front and the back and the whole sewing process. The video is in our you can go ahead and check that, or I can put the link in this description so that you can check it out yourself. Okay, now that we've come here, use your paper scissors to open this up. Open here up, cut out that allowance. And then you fold in this side dart. The difference from between the front and the back, you are folding it in the way you marked it, the slanted line. You're going to fold it in to meet the bust line. Like I said, I have a full comprehensive video on how this is done. You can watch the other videos to get it right. Okay, and I'm going to be holding this down with my taper tape. Now this allowance that is excess here, you see that when you bring this down, that the measurements from the waistline is now extended beyond the bust area. So you are now going to use your curved rule or a straight one to join this place to the armhole line. Very important. So I'm joining this together. Like I said, you can go ahead and watch that video to get a comprehensive understanding of what we just did. A more comprehensive. Okay, now how do I want the front to be? I want the front to just be straight. I don't want to have any curved in for the openings or for the bust cleavage. I'm just going to leave it straight as it is. So for that, I'm going to just go ahead and cut out this piece, and then we have the front piece we need. And for the front, the top part, we don't need it, so I'm not going to be including it. Okay, now we have that. This is it. Now there's something else you have to also note. When you are working, when you are cutting your bustier and it's not going to be having a sleeve, you should know that when you are cutting this side, I should have explained it that before cutting it out. Before cutting out this part, you have to extend this place with the same allowance you have here. So I'm going to place it right back and extend it like so, because this is going around the armpits. We're not making a dress with sleeve. If you were making a dress with sleeve, you wouldn't need to do this. So I'm going to cut out that part and come it back to the pattern. It's very important. So let's explain again. Now we have already cut out the armhole like this. This is the pattern we need, obviously. Now for this side that is curved, if you are making a dress that is going to go around your armpits, that does not have a sleeve, you do not need to create this armhole curve, which is why we are going to be eliminating it by putting it back. I'm going to be putting back that curve we removed, and I'll be holding this down with a tape. I hope you understand. If there are any questions, please do not hesitate to ask the questions in the comment section. I will explain better. Okay, so I'm putting this at the back so that you understand. You will see the curve, the line we made. That's why I'm putting the tape at the back. Okay, so here it is. This is going to help us keep it like so, straight, the way it wants it to be. Okay, this is the pattern we need. Now the fabric we have is not much, so let's see how we are going to do as this pattern with little fabric we have. Yay, this got me here. This is nice. Are you seeing what I'm saying, guys? Okay, this is exactly what we need. Like, we're getting exactly what we need. Exactly what we need. Okay, so I'm going to pin this down and we cut. All right, so I've gone ahead to cut it out. I've cut it out. Now what I cut it out with is 1/2 inch for joining the side, the middle side, this part to this, and then I have 1/2 inch on the side, and this 1/2 inch is to conceal it, because we're going to be cutting a lining piece to it. So if you look at the back, I cut 2 of this, but my fabric was not enough for me to cut another piece for the front piece for this part to be able to give it nice covering. So we're going to look for another fabric that has the same consistency with this, another silk fabric that has the same consistency with this, to cut a back piece for this one, for a lining piece. Now I'm also going to use a stay to iron the sides. This is the stay I'm going to be using. I'm going to iron the sides to make it thicker, to make the fabric thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we can start joining the pieces together. So this is it. So let's take out our pins and this. So I cut out this long piece I'm supposed to use to lace the back, but this might not be long enough. For that, I had to use this fabric. The color is very close to the one we're using, so it will be fine to give it a finer lacing at the back. And I'm using this because I also got a piece of it as a lining piece for the middle part of the pattern. Okay, so since this is bigger, it's going to be bolder and finer, and there are more fabric left for it compared to how tiny this leftover is. That might not be enough. So this will not be the piece we are using anymore. I'm going to be using this instead, and I've already cut it out. As I cut 1.5 inch, folded into, that's 3 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it open and then join the sides before we sew it and use it for the back lacing. Now something else I want to cut out, another piece I need to also cut out that we should see here is okay, the loops for the lacing. Now for the loops, it's going to be as long as you want it to be. Okay, now if I measure this way, like this one, I'll be getting this is Okay, this is too long. If you want the loops to be say 1.5 inch when you join it, you can use 3 inches, but I can go ahead and use maybe 4 inches for the length of the loops, so that when I fold it in half, you fold it in half and you take in 1/2 inch for sewing, you will have 1.5 inch extended for the loops. So let me go ahead and cut this out. 4 inch by 2 inches. So the loop is going to be 4 inches by 2 inches. Let's cut out these loops. Okay, so we have a total of 8 pieces for the loops, which means we are going to be a total of 8 loops at the back, which is 4 loops on each side of the back. And then we are going to be converting this long rope as the spaghetti sleeve the dress is going to be having. All right, let's get to the ironing part and then sewing process. I have stayed the back. I've put the air stay to make it thicker, so it will hold properly when you sew it, right? So this is it. Now I'm going to go ahead and join the pieces together. Pin it and join them. I also did the same thing for the lining piece. This is the lining piece. The back is different, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Join the lining piece together and sew. So when we do that, we'll continue. And then now I'm going to also go ahead and sew on this piece I'm going to be using as a rope. I'm going to sew on it and then sew it folded like this with 1/2 inch, and then we're going to use our loop turner to turn it inside out. In one of my videos I have shown you how you use a loop turner. How you can pass a rope through a loop turner, or you can also use a loop turner to turn a folded fabric into inside out. So we have joined all of we've sewn the loops and we've turned them inside out using a loop turner. There are 8 of them here, and then this is the long rope we are going to be using for the back lacing. That's going to pass through the loops, and then this one is the one we're going to be using as a spaghetti sleeve. I'm going to also show us how to attach this one. But then let me show you how you turn out you're making a rope and you want to use a loop turner to turn it like this. After you've sewn the rope like this, now for you to turn it out like so, this is a loop turner. It looks like a crochet. The edge of the loop turner looks like a crochet hook. All you have to do is open it, pass it through the place you want to turn inside out, hook it using the hook, and you close it, and then you can gently pull, and there you have it. This is how you use your loop turner to turn. Then what I did was iron it and to get it to a flat surface, because I will need it to be like this when I want to attach it to the dress. Okay, that's for that. Now I've gone ahead to join the pieces of the upper bodies, and I've also ironed them. Now because of the way it was cut, look at it, it's already looking as if there is a pad inside. There's no pad. What we have inside is just the stay, and then the opening. If you follow my videos, the way I post them, if you've watched more of my videos on how to make bustier, you would know that every bustier I make, I iron it open. I iron the same line open, and I hold it down with stay to keep it down. That way it will just remain like that, and it gives you a very neat finishing and neat edges. See, everything comes out nice. So the same thing I have done for the back piece. This is the lining piece. Okay, now what we're going to do is attach these loops, because we're going to use the lining piece to turn this out inside out, so everything will be neat before we can now attach the down parts. Now to do that, now I want one of these loops to be at the edge, at the beginning. That way it will hold the back. When you tie it, it will hold the dress perfectly on the body. So I'm going to go ahead and pin here, this one, leaving a 1/2 inch at the top for turning the front and the lining piece at the edge, so it will not, you won't have to step on the loops. Now the same thing I will do again here. Now the other places I'm going to pin, I'm just going to mark them to save time. Now there are four loops, and I said it's going to be 4 on each side. That's 8 in total. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see, let's say the measurement will be okay for us to do this. Now for the under bust, this directly under bust here, where you see the curviness is the most. Here I'm marking it out because this is where the sleeve, the spaghetti sleeve, is going to come onto. The spaghetti sleeve is going to come onto this part, so I'm going to be leaving there out as a place I'm going to be attaching loop, so there will be no loop going in there. Okay, so since there will be space there, I'm going to be measuring from the top. I'll measure 2 inches from the first loop. That's 2 inches. Now if I measure another 2 inches, that's exactly where this the sleeveless is going to enter. So from there I'm going to take another 2 inches down for the third loop, and then another 2 inches for the last hook. Now when I take another 2 inches, it's already at the end, and we'll be needing at least 1/2 inch to join this down part. So for this down part, we are going to be using 1.5. All right, I've sewn down the loops here. I sewn it down and I ironed it, and that's why it's looking like so. See, I ironed it down with the 1 inch, and here we have it. This is it. I've sewn both the 4 of them on both sides, and this is the space where we are going to be passing through the sleeve. So the sleeve is going to be going like so. It's going like this all the way to this place. That is how the sleeve is going to be. Okay, now to continue this, now we have to attach the sleeve. Now to attach the sleeve, I am measuring for the bustier seam line. I'm going to measure 2 inches to this side, and pin. The same thing for this one, 2 inches to the side and pin. And now what we're going to do is sew this place down. Using the lining piece to conceal this, I'm going to go ahead and sew it like so. When you sew with 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, depending on the allowance you added, sew it like so. You're going to turn it up and top stitch on the lining piece, and then you cover it again and then conceal all of the side seams. When you do that, leaving the down part open, you cannot turn it up and iron. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll talk about attaching the skirt piece to the dress. So I've attached it. I've sewn the lining piece. Here's the back. The lining piece is attached and neatly sewn and top stitched, as you can see, and ironed as well. So we have the front piece complete as I want it, and this is the sleeve attached. It's quite long. I'm going to be cutting it when I measure the right measurement I need. And this is it. The dress is well contoured, so even if you wear it without a bra, it should be able to give you perfect fitting, which is the essence. Okay, now we're going to be attaching the down part. First, we're starting with the band. We're going to find the middle of the band. This is the middle right here. Open it, mark the middle, and then this is one of the right sides. Find the middle of the dress, the upper bodice, and hold the middle on top of the middle of the band. Now place the other band on top of it. Then I'll take it to the machine and sew a straight stitch all the way to the end. Okay, I've sewn the band to the bodice, to the upper bodice. Now what we're going to do is attach the flare part of the dress, the skirt part. And the skirt part has just one opening, and that is for the zip allowance. So what we are going to do now is attach this. And because we want to sew it in a way that the band is properly concealed, we'll start by sewing the front piece first. So I'm opening it up like this, and I'm going to get the middle like this, pin it, get the middle of the skirt part, and also pin. Now I'm going to be taking this middle part of the skirt part, and I'm going to be placing it right side to right side on this band, like so. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it together, and then you can pin it all the way from here to the end of the skirt. Pin it this direction, pin this one, and sew. And I've attached the front piece of the band to the skirt part. This is what we have. Now I'm going to go ahead to the back part, and I'm going to be using this back piece for the band to conceal the sewing of the band area. This is how we're going to do it. We're supposed to sew it like so, use it to conceal the back piece, to cover the back piece all the way. Now you can pin this down first and then top stitch it. Machine, and we top stitch it, and then we bring the two side back piece together, hold it like so. Now take out the measurements we need for the zip. Now you might want to put the zip, say, from the top to like 8 inches down, or 9, depending on how you want it. And then we're going to sew down the rest part of the zip allowance. Sew it down by 1 inch. 1 inch all the way down. Sorry guys for the light out, it went darker because the lights were disconnected. So here it is, the inner part. It has been top stitched, and this is the front, all neatly stitched, and here it is. So this is the opening for the zip. Let's show you this part. The skirt only has one opening from at the back, and that's for the zip allowance. So here is the opening for the zip. I took 8 inches down, so this is where we're going to be putting the zip. And remember to also work with matching zips whenever you're doing on any dress. Matching color zip come out better. So we're almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and put the zip and then hem the edges. Okay, so guys, let me quickly show you guys how I attach my invisible zipper using a manual sewing machine and a normal footer. I'm not changing this footer to a zipper to another zip footer for invisible zip. So how I do it is, like I've pinned it down the way I want it on using the allowance for the zip. Okay, now what I'm going to go ahead and do is open it up like this, bend it open, and sew very closely to the edges. We're going to be getting the invisible zipper nicely sewn. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this part. Now remember to always open it. When you open it, it gives you room to be able to sew it very closely. And this opening, that is what the invisible footer does. The invisible footer helps you to open it as you sew along. But now you are manually using your hand to open up, so you can sew very close to it. So this, you can do this when you don't have light and you want to use your manual machine to sew. So here it is. And when you are done, you get a neatly finished invisible zip. Quickly, this is it. This is the right side of the zipper. See how neat it looks. Okay. Now another method I use in keeping my work neat for the zipper area is creating a bag to cover these rough edges, especially when you cut out the zip and you know that the zip is too long and you have to cut out the excess. So for this place to be smooth and clean, this is what I do. So I take a piece of fabric that's left, okay, and you can cut it into square however you want it, and I just cut out a piece of it. I usually don't take measurements, I use eye gauging. Now, so what I do now is I will sew it, and because okay, let's start it fresh. Fold in here, fold in here. Now put these two places together, okay, and then sew, match on it. So let's do that. Let's just do this. So you sew here like so. I'm also going to go ahead and sew here too, leaving here open like this. Okay, so I'm going ahead to sew here and here. So I'm going to trim out the excesses because we don't need this sex allowance. I'm trimming it out, then I'm going to turn it inside out. Turn it inside out. So you've created a bag for the zip. Now this bag, what I'm going to do is impute the zip inside. You do this for any kind of zip to give the zip the excess part of the zip, give it in its finishing. So I'm going to go ahead and take it to the machine and just run a straight stitch. Okay, here you have it. So we've created a bag for the zip excess, and this is how it's going to sit inside, and it is neater than just leaving the zip lying like that. Okay guys, so here it is. This is the dress. Look at the sides. The front is obviously longer and the sides are shorter. That's how we cut it. This is it. When you drop it, this is what you get, and this is it. This is the beautiful dress we've made. Let me show us the back lacing. This is the back lacing. We've laced it, passing it through the loops. I want to believe you guys know how to lace it. But the rope was not long enough. That is why there's still one loop laying down on its own that does not have any rope on it. And then this is the spaghetti sleeve, guys, that we've not attached. Now I said for us to attach the spaghetti sleeve, you have to take a measurement from your top of the shoulder here. Take a measurement and measure all the way around your armhole to that point where you want it to be, which is here. This is where I want it to be, here. Where it's most comfortable on your body, right? Yes, this is what we achieved. So beautiful, love it.